Okay, I'm going to talk today about a project that has been in the news recently and is something of national importance, and that is a second airport for Sydney. I believe this is one of the most important infrastructure projects currently required in the country and isn't being given enough attention, and also is creating unnecessary worry within the community, especially by those who don't know too much about air travel. Okay, just a quick background of the current existing Sydney Airport. So Kingsford Smith has been operating continuously since 1920, which makes it the oldest commercial airport in the world. It's located just 8 kilometres south of Sydney, which is fairly close for a major international airport compared to somewhere like LAX, Frankfurt Airport, London Gatwick, Denver Airport, which are located a lot further from their respective cities. The current passenger load is about 40 million passengers per year. This is going up at a rapid rate. It's expected to grow to 80 million by 2050. And Kingsford Smith is too small to handle this traffic. Just some stats. So, based on current passenger numbers from 2015, Sydney Airport is the 38th busiest airport in the world, just behind London Gatwick Airport and Rome Airport, which serve much larger cities, and is above Sao Paulo's main airport, Shanghai's second airport, Orlando, Florida. So it's a fairly busy airport, considering the city is only 4 million people. And the second picture is the city system. So Sydney handles just under 40 million. And so it handles more passenger traffic than Mexico City, which is 23 million people. Boston, Massachusetts, which is bigger than Sydney, and Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is a major hub for Delta Airlines. So it gives an idea of how busy Sydney Airport actually is. So Sydney Airport serves well over 100 destinations and 35 major airlines, and this is the international destinations currently served. Some of them are stopover flights like London and Frankfurt, Toronto and New York, but they are on a one-ticket flight. So obviously, a lot of airlines are wanting to travel to Sydney. I believe India is actually now has flights, so this map is not quite correct. But it's very incorrect because Doha's not on here either. But it's a very busy international airport with lots of airlines. This is just a picture of the airport itself, so it's very close to Sydney. And as you can see, the Airbus A380 really dominates the airport space, and the age of the airport is a very hindering factor in development. It's surrounded by water and residential areas, so it can't be developed. And this is just the flight paths into and out of the airport. So handling 40 million passengers a year, and plenty of cargo flights too. A lot of the flight paths are over major residential areas. So with more flights coming in, obviously the people living under the flight paths are going to be more affected as the number of flights increases. So at the moment, the airport is accessible. It's not great, but it's good. One major important thing about current Sydney Airport is that there is a curfew for non-emergency flights between 11 PM and 5:30 AM. So all flights for a particular day are handled between 5:30 AM and 11 PM. And so a major factor for airport development is a 24-hour service, which Sydney currently does not have. So Sydney Airport is very poorly constructed. The two international and domestic terminals are currently not connected by foot. You must purchase a $6 ticket to transfer between the terminals, unless you're on a Qantas, Virgin or One World Alliance ticket. then you get free transfer. And I was on a Qantas flight from LAX back to Sydney to Adelaide, and I got a free transfer between the international and domestic terminals, and it's like an airport too. You actually go out on the runways. Well, not on the runways, but close to them. So it's not exactly a tunnel. There is a train connecting the terminals, but it does cost. Didn't write that here. It does cost $10, which is extremely expensive for just transferring inside an airport when most other large airports are free. By road, the transfer is 4 kilometers, so by taxi, it would just be too expensive. And there are 2 domestic terminals, and the only way to transfer between them is by foot. Most airports have an air train, or all domestic is handled in one terminal. To get to the city, now it's only 8 kilometers, as I said, but it costs $15 one way by train for that 8-kilometer journey, which is the same price as Melbourne, and the same price as JFK in New York and LAX, which are much further after currency conversions. $40 by taxi, and a lot of that is tolls and airport tax. And the airport shuttle to your hotel is actually not too bad. It's $20 from the city, which often would be an ideal method for international travellers, and something that I would consider too if I was in Sydney. So the new airport has been proposed for a long time, and has only come to light now, and it's decades too late. It was first proposed in 1986, and the government purchased and owns land at Badgerys Creek, which is 51 kilometres west of the city. Plans to build a new airport there. So here's Badgerys Creek out here. Sydney being surrounded by mountains is quite difficult to build an airport relatively close to the city, and that was the closest area they could get. There are other areas, but that was deemed to be the best one. So this is an airport plan at the moment. So the airport is here, and they plan to extend a railway line from Leppington to connect to the metro network, and also the Great Western Highway. They plan to extend down to the airport for freight and other airport transfers. Sydney's traffic system is not that great, so an airport that's 51 kilometres from the city might be a problem. But it's certainly better than the existing undeveloped, impossible to develop airport. So the proposal for the first stage of the development is something very similar to London Gatwick, where it's a single runway with a relatively small terminal that can handle 10 million passengers per year, which will help alleviate load greatly on the existing Sydney airport. And I believe this new airport would be very good for cargo and long-haul international flights, with connections to other international destinations, rather than people flying domestic. And then the later stage of development is a 2-runway setup, very similar to LAX and London Heathrow, that I believe would be an excellent addition and well needed, and certainly would make Kingsford Smith domestic and short international like New Zealand only, and may even result in Kingsford Smith closing, becoming cargo only or domestic, general aviation only. This airport's been long awaited. So in summary, Sydney Airport currently is too small. It cannot handle 50 million passengers per year, which is the expected 5-year to 10-year demand. A second airport is required to share passenger load, just like they have in London, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, places like that. One airport is not enough. The location of 51 kilometers west of the city is best suited, which is a lot closer than some airports like Tokyo Narita, Denver, the New Mexico City airport. And so airports in South America are a fair way from their target city. A long-term vision for 2-runway airport, capable to handle 80 million passengers, which is extremely busy for a city of only 4.5 million people, expected to grow to about 6 million by that time. 2050 is the 80 million passengers. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation. It's an issue that I'm very passionate about, and I'd like to get some awareness out there for a project that's desperately needed. Thanks.